Hi, everybody. Okay, today I was just on a Zoom meeting with the Winters group. They do all of these type of diversity and equality and justice seminars for corporations and different organizations. They did one at the Institute for, well, actually they did two at the Institute Capacity for Development when I was there. Respectful workplace. Basically to counter the bullying that was going on in the department. Whereas the director of the department, Charmony, senior personnel management, Gina Peony, Manal Fawad, the office manager, Adrian Thapa, and everybody else, all of the front office staff are a bunch of bullies. So, you know, it's counterproductive. Get rid of the bullies instead of having the bullies bring in some BS seminar. In the first one, the one of the economists, Zampolin, first is a woman, like she walked out, I overheard her saying, what was laughing, saying, was that to fill a quota? The second one, there's the first one I think would have been 2013, and the second one I think was 2015. The second one, I was so horrified by the BS. I mean, because you know, I had been targeted in the bullying and the discrimination and you know, mismanagement in the department is rampant, and this is just a window dressing. So I had been targeted, I had been horrified, and of course I'm working on, you know, every different aspect of violence against women as human rights violations. So I'm looking at this in terms of labor rights violations against opting in women and you know, elder discrimination, as well as racial discrimination, because this was clearly because I was white. I mean, this is also where it gets convoluted, because there are, you know, Kate Phillips is white, Gina Peony is white. But that's where it's, well, it's not racial discrimination per se, it's age and competence discrimination. So I'm more competent to do either of these jobs of these women, and of course, why I was ousted, as well as Charmony, as well as even Christine Lagarde. Which I told ICD deputy directors and the executive directors, I've worked my way up the chain of command according to procedure, and everybody wants to sweep it under the carpet. Well, okay. Unfortunately, the international courts are you know, you're part of the problem, you're in the pockets. So I just wait until the House of Cards collapses. Okay, so I just posted, as I recorded it, I'll be cropping that down. to things that are applicable to the issues that I'm addressing. But this is just, you know, many things that I've recorded either in videos, or what I've seen on the internet, or in writing. So, you know, as I say, I've laid my cards down. You know, I mean, I'm not getting much visits on these videos, which, you know, is standard fare. But I'm not doing my videos or any of the writing that I'm doing to get lots of traffic or make any money. I'm doing them in order to inform people. Here's one that fell out. In order to inform people of the reality of what's going on. So I know nobody likes, well, here we go. Nobody likes what I have to say, but this was one of the things in this meeting with the Winters group in the Zoom one. You know, they're telling me that I have to listen to other voices. Yet their voices are the only ones that should be heard. Okay, 2 cards per person. I mean, as I say, this is more evidence for Nuremberg trials too than winning any popularity contest. So, which is the name of the game, whether it be in DC amongst the big wigs, small fries, the NGOs, or the think tanks. I mean, you know. So, first pile is detrimental effect of arresting all domestic violence perpetrators. Second is security issues. Well, this is when I was in Bogota, but it's applicable to everywhere. Second pile is self-destructive paths. Of all of the narcissists that basically globally are colluding to maintain the status quo of corruption. And it gets into my personal case as an example. Okay. This gets into, how shall I say, the soft diplomacy as the currently CIA director Burns, who is a State Department career guy, calls it soft diplomacy of the consulates. In this case, it's the French. Because I mean, I am as much with the Americans as the French, the Spanish, and even the British. Well, globally under universal jurisdiction, but I built my cases against those governments principally. Okay, this gets into my application as president of the World Bank when Dr. Kim stepped down. I know everybody laughs at me about that, but I'll get into that. In protest to David Malpass. The third card goes back into when I was working at the restaurant in Penn Quarter, Succotash. It was formerly a Washington, D.C., the building was the Washington, D.C. version of Studio 54 when it opened. And, you know, back then, this was in the 1980s, back then, that was like, why would you go down there? That's where all the drug addicts, you know, it was bum territory and not something, but it opened the door for the entire Penn Quarter, Chinatown. Anyway, I'll get into Succotash on that one. So yeah. I'm sorry, my videos haven't gotten more traction, but as I say, I don't say things to be popular. I say things because that's what the evidence and facts in my research the past 15 years and my personal experience has shown. Okay, so let's start with this. Detrimental effect of arresting all domestic violence perpetrators. This does get a little bit into Cuomo's case in this draconian attack on anybody who's accused of some sort of inappropriate behavior or violent act against a woman. I mean, okay, this gets into you know, domestic violence calls to the police, and when they show up, and what do? So in the old days, a lot of it was, okay, let's just take the guy, take him around the block, calm him down, and try and diffuse the situation rather than escalate it. And you end up, a lot of times what's happening is you end up arresting both parents. I mean, the kids go to foster care and you know, there's a whole series of issues, you know, residual effects of what happens afterwards. And while I never condone anybody becoming physically violent, and if you're gonna lose your cool, because as I say, sometimes I want to slap the bitch. And I have to, or the son of a bitch. Goes both ways. I have to keep my cool. Because that's also their end game. Get me to explode, then I'm the one who is the aggressor. So a lot of times, and this is where self-control comes in. Looking for a fight? I'm not going to give it to them. I'm going to walk away. I want to do whatever. When I'm in a situation like that, and all I do is, I'm not going to play into your game. Now, if you get violent with me, physically violent, the verbal, stuff is there, got no fun, got no problem. I'm going to call up the cops right away. Want to give me a black eye? Just totally not pull the knife out. That's the reality. So, the problem is the feminist and the lawyers are in there, because victims of the courts will tell you the lawyers, the women lawyers and the women judges are the worst of the pack. And why? I was like, oh great, you're gonna put Kamala Harris into office? The feminists have been given the voice, and all other voices are silenced. And this is feminist across the board, whether it be white, brown, black, yellow, or LGBT, whatever. I've documented this across the board. And since we have lawlessness in the courts, the abusers are just amusing themselves with bringing litigation that has no substance and often no standing. But since there's no oversight and there's no accountability, they don't care. They're just raking in money. I mean, with the Cuomo case, Andrew Cuomo case, the lawyers who are bringing suit against Andrew Cuomo, they're going to rake in lots of money as well as publicity, as will Andrew Cuomo's lawyer, who's a woman, Glavlin. I forget her first name. I contacted her office through a contact form when I started the videos. I said, take a look at it. I don't think that she paid any more attention than Sean Penn's lawyer that I contacted in 2016 to say, Sean Penn, you have cause. Now, please go to the court because the journalists are attacking you. And this is freedom of speech issues. And you're totally right in everything you say. Everybody should embrace this. Same thing with Prince Andrew. That is just the lawyers of Gouffre are going to cash in, make lots of money off of that PR, and add plus. The advantage is, they're making money as well as attacking someone who doesn't deserve to be attacked. Whereas they won't attack the other people who do deserve to be attacked. Because I've been contacting all of these people for at least a decade. Wow, 15 years if you get into everything I went through in Spain. So, all of these people are just spinning their wheels. So let's do self-destructive paths, because this is a very self-destructive path. My case in Spain, the domestic violence part, I mean, okay, let's just keep it there. Started because I wanted to start a company, Global Expats, which is modeled after the Expat Wives Clubs, FACO, IMF Family Association, Family Network, the others, who are all covering up for everything that I've gone through for the past 15 years. They know about it. They know how these women are being re-victimized in the courts. But they just want to produce propaganda of la vie en rose. So, they're included in my case for the international courts in the cover-up. I've contacted, I know them all, I know many of them personally. They know me in my activism work. They've played their cards, I've played mine. As I say, let's take this courts where it belongs and have the discussion of who's right under the law. That's all I'm asking, nothing more. So, originally the Global Expats, originally when I moved back to Spain, I had thought of starting an international marketing company for artisan work and do, fair trade, because there's a lot of problems of the artisans, and a lot of them are women, in middle income countries and low income country, and even in high income countries, the getting good raw materials, there's a distribution problem, there's a intellectual property theft problem. So there's a lot of problems that, with a proper structure of a business, we can also help protect the rights of these women or these indigenous people, or whoever, because you have the financial backing to take them to court. So that had been my original idea. There were problems in the logistics. That's how I came up with the Global Expats, and okay, let's get all of the expat wives. They need a job, they need careers. Let's mobilize them and put this together. So that was how I came up with the platform of globalexpats.com, which the concept is a cross between Yelp.com, TripAdvisor, Facebook, and LinkedIn, except targeted towards homemakers and stay-at-home moms who spend a lot of money. Now, some of them spent, yes, granted, but a small portion, this is 10%ers and 1%ers who spend all the money on luxury items, but the rest of the population, they spend it on necessities. And okay, I mean, we all can have a little bit of luxury. We don't have to live in extreme austerity. But within one's means. And that, you know, that is not the paradigm that is currently being promoted at national levels or international levels. And of course, why nobody likes me. And I'm out with the other expat wives clubs, which are supported by the corporate world as well as the diplomatic world. So, you know, they don't like what I have to say because I'm challenging what they're doing. So anyway, you know, when I showed, this was 2006, because I was crunching the numbers, and I said, wait a second, because Susan Feeney, everybody was telling me, oh, no, you have to have a platform. For years afterwards, no, you have to have an exclusive platform that it's for membership only. I said, well, that's the whole bullshit with the expat wives clubs. You know, and then I'm buying in to corporate and diplomatic corps expats, because the other people, and also I wouldn't buy that. I wouldn't pay that. For what information? I was just like, you're supposed to be the guru marketing experts. What you're proposing is not going to work, not going to make me any money. No, I put all of this information. It's not. I mean, at the time, it would have been expensive in terms of technology, but in terms of information, the Yellow Page, that's a huge industry, and they've done a good job, because what they've done is not compete with all of the local search platforms that have come out, which there's all over the frickin' place. They cashed in on that. They're the ones who have the database. And so what all of these platforms do is buy and pull these databases. Now these databases are all over the place. Now it's easy breezy to get access to those databases, not huge capital investment. Now your technology has developed so much. I've been watching that. Not expensive either. I mean, from day one, it was a good project, and I've shown. Everybody said, no, you have to charge. I said, no, you offer a free information platform, then you get the money off of advertising. Now you have to be a little careful about all the advertising that you're doing, as we're seeing with the platforms that are out there. So, you know, it's still a good idea. And I showed my ex in 2000, as I say, 2006. I said, look, this platform with advertising has $1 billion revenue potential per year. Instead of helping me, like one would assume from my husband and all of my entourage, oh, no, what you're doing is stupid. You're crazy. And he crashes into my computers and colludes with my web designers and the courts and, you know, everybody to destroy it all. Now, if I had been allowed to move forward with that thing, I'd be as wealthy as Zuckerberg or Bezos or any of those people today. And that is exactly why my ex-husband, since I'm a woman, I mean, This is because I'm a woman who is married and should be submissive. And I should not move out of that role. How has the past 60 years liberated women in this paradigm that everybody's trying to promote? I mean, I know everybody laughs at me. My family, the people here, you know, the politicians, everybody, the lawyers. I'm like, I'm sitting on a $10 billion lawsuit because I've lost over $10 billion from all of the little shenanigans in the past 15 years, at least, just from global expats. If that had been, you know, if I'd been able to move forward with that, my parents wouldn't have been in a nursing home. Now, would they have caught COVID? Would they have not caught COVID? I'm not, you know, I'm not going to blame the nursing home, because that we had a discussion on that with my siblings, and my brother had wanted to move them in to his 1-bedroom apartment, high-rise apartment in Chicago. And we had a lengthy arguments. I mean, I was furious with my older sister and my brother because the screaming and yelling lasted for 3 days before I could figure out what the hell they were talking about. But I said, don't be ridiculous. They're safer in the nursing home than they are. So, you know, the whole thing about nursing home deaths and it's a convoluted thing, and fingers are being pointed where they shouldn't be pointed, because nursing homes were facing a challenge. So that's all convoluted, but if my family had helped me, I mean, this goes up to John McCain. I mean, my family and the people that I know go up to the highest reaches of the American government, the French government, the British government, and the Spanish government. And you know, my first networks. Yet everybody for 15 years done what raining on the parade. So anyway, you know, it just keeps on escalating. And, you know, I've played my cards. I've asked for an investigation in the United States, which will give the domino effect in Europe, because if I'm given a voice here, it will have a domino effect, because I do have cases that you know, fall under these same laws, which is RICO, Racketeer Influence Corrupt Organization Act, Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, and Patriot Act, against just about everybody in Washington. Because I just keep on racking up the evidence of collusion. Everybody who says this is a conspiracy, this is nothing but a conspiracy theory. I'm like, have you looked at the evidence? Okay, well, maintaining corruption, let's go there. Which, after attending the spring meetings in 2016 of the World Bank IMF spring meetings, I sent a letter to the executive directors of the World Bank, all of them, saying, Houston, you guys got a problem. Because not only here is the stuff that I've been looking at under policy and practices of the IMF during the spring meetings, and I'm putting all of the dots together about the problems there. But I've also got the pending lawsuit against my 7 years in the IMF as, you know, an employee. First against the IMF Family Association, then against the Institute for Capacity Development. So, you know, I didn't mix apple and oranges. I did send it to them exclusively under the policies and practices. Now, the first person I think that I mentioned in that letter to them is Olivier Blanchard. He was the director of research when I got there in 2009. I forget when he left. But he had done a blog about the 2008 collapse. Technically, he was right, yeah, explaining how it happened. This was an intranet blog. And so I responded. And I said, well, wait a second, you know, this was just you know, a part of a trajectory that's been going on since the 1970s. And he responded and he said, no, this is just an isolated incident. Now, this is 2009. I mean, I haven't even started. Well, it was until 2014 I started looking at the international stuff. But I'm like, are you crazy? Mike Milton started all of this stuff. I mean, okay, not him alone, but he was one of the 2016, when I saw he was still in the game and over at GW and with the IFC, and I was like, oh Lord, yeah, you guys have just brought in all of the sharks, all of the piranhas, all of the amoral people that you possibly can. So then, of course, when Dr. Kim stepped down as president of the World Bank in 2009, surprise to everybody, leaving the door open for Trump to nominate a president. I mean, I was like, Dr. Kim, what is going through your head? Even if the situation is impossible and you can't deal with it, which if you hired me as your HR person or your right-hand person, I'd clean up the frickin' place from top to bottom as I would the IMF and the UN. But even if you can't handle it, you stay in until Trump is out of office, and it'll be the next president, which hopefully will be on the left, that appoints somebody instead of a Trump appointee. David Malpass, he was the chief economist at Bear Stearns, who failed to see the 2008 collapse. I mean, you talk about moving your chairs on the Titanic. I mean, you know, and his wife got a letter from me as honorary president of the World Bank Family Network. Now, she wasn't so dedicated to her career, then maybe Dr. Kim would have been effective in his work in reforming the World Bank. Instead, since it's one of these, family grappling up the ladder of success, cashing in, we see where that went. Adele Malpass, David Malpass's wife, got a letter from me. She's been very highly involved with the Republican women's and getting women, Phyllis Schlafly type stuff. See, either the Republicans, the right, wants to get in the extreme right, and the left wants to get in the extreme left to just create havoc. So it's all about maintaining corruption, all of them. There's one about, well, I won't get into this right now. Okay. So that's the third pile. What's mine? Whatever. It's really sad how nobody cares about anything except making money. Okay, my card. Ace of Spades. Donald Trump. Okay. Under investigation by U.S. Department of Justice and U.S. Congress for high crimes, misdemeanors, and impeachable offenses, including obstruction of justice in 10 instances identified by Special Counsel Robert Mueller that included illegal attempts to interfere with and end the investigation, conspiracy with Russia to change the outcome of the 2016 election, over 250 contacts by 16 Trump campaign officials with Russia and its agents, co-conspirator violating campaign finance laws, violation of Constitution's emolument clause, violation of the presidential oath of office to protect and defend the U.S. Constitution. What's new? Isn't that standard fare? No. Once again, I'm going to trump everybody under RICO, Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, and the Patriot Act in their efforts to silence me. Bet in the farm. Okay, let's do Alice. This is me if nobody else. As I say, I'm not doing this to be liked. The Americans of the golden age, they've never liked me. One of the reasons why I left the United States. So, for the detrimental effect of, you know, false allegations and arresting this, let's arrest everybody. Makes more money. Off with their heads for malice. So the self-destructive paradigm that everyone wants to promote in the United States, or at least the narcissists. Oh, oysters, come and walk with us. The walrus did beseech. It's all about a cult culture and being popular and being liked and saying what they want you to say. Okay, this gets into the executive directors of World Bank and their failure to even examine. Well, this gets into, it's specifically it's the French executive director who dropped the ball in examining my application as for candidate of the president of the World Bank in 2016. And I didn't do that because I wanted to be president of the World Bank. My Lord, never. I did it because that's in the heads of some of the people I know. I did it because it provided me cause and standing in challenging the legitimacy of David Malpass's presidency and his appointment there. I had a perfect case for the courts with that, but of course, nobody will go there because everybody wants to maintain the corruption. So for all of the World Bank and IMF people, beware the Jabberwock, my son. The jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Rico, you think that you have sovereign immunity, you can do anything you want. You need to rethink that one because it's not true. And the more that the violence escalates, the more voice I will be given in examining the international development community, the international community in Washington's role in the rise of the Fourth Reich. So for me, we called him Tortoise because he taught us. So, well, I teach anything to anybody. Okay, second card. Nobody wants to listen to me. Nobody wants to listen to me. But as I say, this is for the courts, not for popularity on internet. Second card. File number 1, security issues. This gets into the security issues that I had when I was in Bogota. My ex worked for an international bank, so we did have a bodyguard, a driver, plus a bulletproof car. And I was the one, we only had one car for 2 children, my husband and I. I mean, I'm only one car to complain, but I'm saying I had to coordinate because nobody in the family could ever go any place without being transported by the only person believe me, I had a whole bunch of, I wouldn't let my kids in the car alone with that. SOB for anything, but I did finally, I had a bodyguard, James. I mean, I always say James is the only person I've ever known in my life, my father, who never stabbed me in the back, who I could trust totally with the most precious thing to me, which was my children, which is my children. And I know he earned my confidence. Unfortunately, hadn't been the case with most people I know. So anyway, I was, because I didn't hang out at the country clubs in my, ivory tower apartment. We did have a beautiful, expensive apartment, and I appreciated it, and I never took, took it for granted, and tried to participate in the community as I could, in the expat communities as well as the local communities. So yeah, we were in a privileged situation, and I had a life of luxury, if you will. But I worked. I got up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I mean, when James got up earlier, I was always telling him, you better go and take a nap because you get even less sleep than I do. But, between my activities, which, excuse me, homemakers are not slaves. I mean, we do work on Saturdays and Sundays. Our work is not 9 to 5. So we go to the gym every day, or we have some leisure time. That's legitimate. The 9 to 5 workers wanted to sit around and do nothing but play golf all weekend long, and the boob tube after 5 o'clock. They work less hours than moms do. So this whole thing of, oh, you have some sort of activity outside of taking care of your family, so you're a parasite. Well, no. The makers don't get paid. I mean, basically what the feminists are doing with the divorce courts is rendering homemakers slaves. Their jobs are not recognized either by the divorce courts, or, well, the family courts, but specifically the divorce courts, or labor markets when you want to opt back in. Total misogyny. You're a parasite on society. You've never contributed anything. You deserve to have, to be thrown out on the street with nothing. That's the oh, unless your husband has a lot of money, then the lawyers can get lots of commission off of that case. Then they'll go after the husband. I mean, and total violation of the law. I mean, what's going on is crazy. But let's get back to the security issues. So everybody always accused me, because I was all over Bogota with James with the car. And we would go, visiting a new artisan place that somebody had given me the address for, this address, that address. I mean, I was just exploring Bogota. I was like, yeah, I go to the museums, but I also want to find out about the artisans. I mean, This is what I do when I get to a new city. I go exploring. But I always would say, okay, James, can we go here or can we not go here? Because there were certain neighborhoods where we just, you know, we couldn't go for security. And he would say, no, this is fine. So we'd go. Now, the strategy was, particularly because we got the driver, things beefed up while we were there. And we would leave the car, the big, you know, car where it's like, okay, we got money, around the corner, and James and I would walk into the place and, you know, start talking. Most of the time, all of the guys thought that James was my husband. I mean, you know, this is, you know, no da papaya. We didn't arrive in a big car. We didn't, you know, totally discreet. See, I was discreet. Yeah, sure, you know, certain functions and stuff. But the little ladies who hung out at the country clubs and who schmoozed and cruised and let's get in a photo and let's schmooze with the Rolling Elite and go to all of the celebrity functions, I said, you guys are a lot more reckless than I ever am. So sure, I have to go to stuff, but you know, I left that in Washington. I mean, if I had wanted that, I would have embraced the debutante life and stayed here and found myself a, you know, a good catch and be, you know, either well, myself a hedge fund manager, sitting pretty. But believe me, if I had stayed in the game, I would have made a shitload of money, because I can see what these guys are doing years before it happens. And that's not just now. Already in the 80s, I was like, yeah, okay, I can make it in this game, but I don't want to play it. You people are totally immoral. And that's where it's taken us. Okay, so I diverge. So, you know, too many people out there just want a bunch of security for the pomp and circumstance. And it's going to get them all killed. I took my security super seriously. And I was one of the few who did. Treated my security people with respect. Also, okay, tell me what I can do. Tell me what I can't do. Let's work around it. I'm not going to put your life in danger. I'm not going to jeopardize your safety and security because I want to do something. You tell me I can't do it, I can't do it. And that happened. So, like everybody else, respect. When you have competent people around you, of course, when you have incompetent people around you, which is too often, respect their advice instead of, no, I'm going to do what I want. Ooh, okay. So we'll get on to the second card. which gets into Bogota as well. Going back to Bogota, okay. Well, this is the person who conned me, if you will, into going into Bogota, 1999, or maybe 98, by asking me if I wanted to do the manual arts work. Obviously, I like doing that, and I always did it with my children. I said, fine, but I didn't realize that I would be on the board, and I was. So that's how I got into Bogota, where I was eventually the president, much, to the chagrin of the corporate and diplomatic ladder grapplers who didn't like me. However, the French expat community liked me. Why? Because I wasn't an arrogant little bitch. And they knew that I wanted to do the good for the French expat community in Bogota instead of kissing somebody's ass. And what they're all doing, and why I came up with the idea for global expats. Still a good idea. It's still $1 billion idea. I'm still looking for business partners. Anybody wants to come on board with me, bienvenido. If you're honest. But I'm not liked. I'm not liked by people. So I'm ostracized. So the person that brought me on, her name is Machiavellian Orleans. She's career French equivalent of the State Department, Ministre des Affaires étrangères. Yeah, well, she and her husband are the typical facade of the perfect family. She's been, since she left Bogota and I went into Bogota, she's been grappling up the ladder of success within the French diplomatic corps, and is now attachée de coopération éducative et linguistique à l'ambassade de France in Brazil. And her husband, Philip Orleans, well, I don't know exactly well, but everybody always said, oh, he wants to be an ambassador one day. And I agreed. So this is the typical, and, to each his own, and whatever the arrangements with couples are in terms of their marriage, that's their business. But these two are part of the Fourth Reichers in France. I mean, I know a lot within Spain, within France, within the United States, within Britain. And these two are, just perpetuating the rise of the Fourth Reich in France, as are their counterparts in the State Department in the United States, and their counterparts in Spain, and their counterparts in Britain. So they're not alone. She was also director of the Alliance Française en Afrique du Sud in 2008. See, the Alliance Française is kind of the arm of the diplomatic, or the Ministre des Affaires étrangères of the French government in promoting the superiority of French culture, just as the American consulates are in the business of promoting the superiority of Americans and American culture. That's what this soft diplomacy is about, bottom line. I mean, and you know, as I say, you can call me crazy, fine, but give me a voice. Stop calling me crazy without looking at evidence and facts and the cases that I have built against everybody. These two included. And let's discuss this in a court of law. I don't even want to discuss it on a podium. But that doesn't get us anywhere. I want to discuss it in a court of law. Everybody lay their cards on the table. I'm laying my cards on the table. You guys lay your cards on the table. Defend your positions. Grow a pair. I'm sitting here with everybody trying to throw me on the street because they don't like what I have to say. And you're sitting there saying that you're all about freedom of speech and democracy. Give me a voice. Let's go to the courts. I don't want to go to a boxing ring to fight this out. That's not my style. Go to the courts. But some court of law that has a frickin' brain, which brings us to, wow, this is a feminist card. Huh, I thought but I think these are repeats because I know we already had Ginsburg in here. But the feminist cards, they do repeat some of these profiles. So with this third pile, I have here, this is Succotash restaurant. I already said, you know, that originally it was called the Bank. It had opened in the 80s. It was the Studio 54 of Washington, D.C. A friend of mine who worked at Cafe Med, really nice guy, opened it. He was the manager, the opening manager. And so the grand tour. Anyway, anytime I became very popular, and some of my girlfriends, when I wasn't working one night, they say, come out with us. Because everyone wanted me to go out with them because I didn't go in any lines. You know, we got free drinks from the bartenders because I worked in the industry and I knew them all. Not because I was some bigwig. And of course, this guy was a friend of mine, so I got the whole tour of the VIP room. I'm like, oh gosh, okay. As I say, very nice guy, very serious. Yeah, it was the 80s. It was a good job for him. I was happy that he got it, but I was like, oh Lord, it'll get worse and worse. So anyway, when this was after leaving the IMF and after 2016 and spending all of my savings, trying to, you know, everybody here in Washington is cashing in and I'm spending my little savings that I have to warn the world of what's going to happen if Trump gets into office. And this keeps on. I mean, who's the patriot here? Not you guys. So I was, you know, I was at the end of my ropes. I was like, because also my landlord's coming after me and I'm facing an eviction because she 750, 900, 950, 1,800. I got to stand my ground someplace. I mean, everybody's just, you know, raking me over the coals right and left. And I got no defense from any of my entourage or the NGOs or the legal community. I'm fair game. They don't like me. I've been thrown to the wolves. See, this whole popularity contest that's going on in the United States is creating havoc. So the person here that I want to mention is, and succotash, because I have spoken about this in the past, is Michelle Zimmerman. And this gets into favoritism in the workplace for totally incompetent people in Washington, in order to maintain the Nazi paradigm, and who are fourth Reichers. Her name's Michelle Zimmerman. I mean, you talk about your dumb blonde bimbo who's hardly good as a broodmare and should be cleaning toilets, and they're giving her a management position. Now and the thing is she, the whole management thing, Victoria Gredia, Michelle Zimmerman, all of these, and this you see throughout DC with these corporate groups, because these guys were from the Clyde's groups. Now, the Clyde group has destroyed all of they all own Old Debit Grill. That place has gone to shit. The Clydes, I mean, I worked in Old Debit Grill when I was in college. I used to recommend it to people all the time. You know, particularly tourists, you know, there's something on the menu everybody's gonna like. It's not expensive. It's consistently good quality. It's, you know, bistro. It's not, as I say, it's not high end, but you have a good meal for a reasonable price. Sit down meal. Same with Clyde's. There were several places in Washington like that. They've all gone corporate. Like, forget it. Go to the food trucks. Don't waste your money. The corporate structure is destroying the restaurant industry, which already needed a lot of reforms. So this little girl, you know, she knows how to brown nose. I mean, you talk about managerialism gone ballistic. Look at it's need and design is the corporate entity that owns Succotash. I can't wait to get a hold of their books. Because again, I have a lawsuit or several lawsuits against them for labor rights violations and discrimination. But since I can't find any lawyers to defend me, because I'm a rich white woman that nobody likes, and nobody likes what she has to say, and I'm canceled, I'm trash. So the thing is, Michelle Zimmerman's stepfather is Joseph Simons. He was the appointee, Donald Trump's appointee of the Federal Trade Commission. And he served as head of the Federal Trade Commission. yet another example of idiots. I mean, if you talk about a dumb blonde, I want to meet her mother, and I'm going to see her mother in court under psychological testing of what that little lady's got in her brain and what she's done to her children and what he's done to his stepchildren. Because this little girl, as I say, not even broodmare. And her stepfather is the head of the Federal Trade Commission. I mean, it's been a game of let's see who is the most incompetent, stupid idiot that we can put in power. So we got a puppet. And I always said to the Europeans, oh, we're all in competition. When they criticize the American government, who we put in power, I said, yeah, but you guys are just the same. We're all in some competition to see who is the stupidest we can put in power. That's why the world needs leadership. And this has been an effort of the rise of the Fourth Reich. Again, you can call me crazy, or let's sit down and look at the evidence. It's tiring. Oh, I got Trump last time. I get Putin. Ace of clubs. So Putin, President Russia and former chief of KGB. Like the Americans are any different with their CIA. Trump's puppet master directed Russian military hack of US voting systems in 39 states, used Russian agents to conspire with Trump campaign officials in 2016 US presidential campaign, created massive network of fake social media accounts and fake US political groups to promote propaganda, influence voters to support Trump in 2016 election. Directed hack of DNC computers, Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta's emails, conspired with WikiLeaks and Julian Assange for their release, joined blackmailing Donald J. Trump using salacious compromise. I don't know, that's the golden showers or something, whatever. See what all the Machiavellian games are producing. Backstab. It's a political competition for power amongst the ruling elite under the guise of democracy. To see who's going to come out on top. Who's going to rule the world? Who's going to be the dominator? And this is why you see this type of stuff. Of course, they collude, they're buddies when it's in their interest. And then they stab each other in the back when it's no longer in their interest. I mean, this is an age-old game. Machiavellian game. And so I'm like, okay, let's play it. For security issues. We can talk when there's anybody worth talking to. Yeah, well, talking to nobody, I know. Okay, for Magellan and Philippe Orléans, ministre des Affaires étrangères, because that, oh, I beg your pardon. I can assure you, Ministre des Affaires étrangères, I haven't been able to document the whole thing like I have with the State Department. Just, I can't do everything. But same can of worms. I beg your pardon. And the people I know personally in there, I'm gonna farewell. We're all on Facebook together. They should know. So for Succotash, Michelle Zimmerman, Federal Trade Commission, I am real. If I wasn't real, I shouldn't be able to cry. I'm not going to cry anymore. Believe me, you people aren't going to make me do that. Yeah. No, that's the objective. But anyway, okay. So for me, drink me. What a curious feeling. Yeah. Listen to what I have to say. It might change your perspective on the world and life. Okay, have a nice evening. Oh, wear your masks. For what it's worth. I know nobody's listening, but okay. So have a nice evening. Good night.